This video is sponsored by my favorite website creator, Squarespace, the best place to go when you want to get a domain or create a gorgeous website or online store. Oh, winter, how awful. So cold, too dark, energy levels, forget about it. But also, the other way to look at it, it's so dark and cold and awful, we have an excellent excuse for cancelling everything, staying in, and just cozying up. This autumn and winter, David and I have developed a terrific weekend cozy routine where we try to keep either Saturday or Sunday absolutely plan-free. So I thought I'd walk you through what one of those slow, lazy, appointment-free weekend days look like. And I mean, we've kind of perfected it, if you ask me. I'm talking Gilmore Girls walking through the snow with long scarves kind of coziness levels here. Already first thing in the morning, we start out strong. We make a pot of green tea for me and brew coffee for David, and then enjoy a couple of hours of me reading with him, watching something next to me on the sofa. My weekend morning uniform is usually linen shirt and linen trousers because I don't want to waste energy choosing clothes in the morning. Plus, white linen is kind of Alicia Keys' home-pressed orange juice suave, don't you think? One of the coziest things I know is reading next to David while he watches a movie. We usually interrupt each other like all the time, telling each other about whatever's going on in the book or movie. And I think the thing I like so much about it is that it's like taking a normally solitary thing like reading, but kind of inviting someone else into it. Whatever I'm thinking or feeling when reading, I can just tell him straight away instead of trying to remember to tell him later after I put the book down. Winter reading is for me all about the cozy classics. Last Christmas, I took like a solid week just devouring books, and the one book I remember strongest from last year is Rebecca. If you still haven't read it, I couldn't recommend it more, simply because of the heavy atmosphere of country state England and the creepy tension all through the book. Such a mood. Another cozy reading tip, breakfast at Tiffany's. Super short, fun as hell, and just a joy to read. If you want some Swedish winter and you're into contemporary stories of smart people brewing over unhappy love, you should try Willful Disregard by Lena Andersson. Funny, frustrating, very grey Swedish winter. And like every winter, I have to recommend the Kingkiller Chronicles. Nothing beats classic fantasy for that Gilmore Girls level of coziness, and this is the best fantasy I have read. Recommend. Around noon, we shower and get ready, and by now we are of course starving. But that's on purpose because we've been saving our appetites for, yes, you guessed it, brunch. We usually have something like soy yogurt with berries and fruit and granola, and tofu scrambled or tofu eggs with egg salt and some veggies. We have tried the classics like vegan croissants and vegan Lux bagels, that kind of thing, but I'm not the biggest fan of baked stuff, to be honest. I'm sure you have your own favorite brunch items to hit me with, so go ahead in the comments. In Sweden, for example, people love making this kind of scones with marmalade and cheese. Ugh, really yummy. One cozy as hell habit we picked up this autumn winter is to go in the morning and buy a magazine like the New Yorker or the TLS or the Guardian Weekend Supplement and do the crossword puzzle together when we have our brunch. It's so much fun, but also it gives you such an artsy couple in a 90s New York movie kind of vibe, doesn't it? It makes us feel a little bit cultured, but only if we do well, of course. It makes you feel totally uncultured when you don't get even close to solving it. Ah well, points for effort. And feel free to give me a little like if you want me to make more routine and habits videos. I think they're super cozy to make, so let me know if you agree. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, the button is down there somewhere. Now David, he loves markets. I don't know why, because he never ever buys anything except for maybe something to eat or drink. I think he just loves the mood of it, looking at vintage homeware and knickknacks and smelling the cinnamon donuts and coffee. So our favorite weekend afternoon thing is walking, usually to some market that David has looked up. We walk for hours, and nowadays when it's cold, we just layer up and buy hot coffee and huddle together to keep warm, which is also of course super cozy. One really nice winter thing, if it's sunny outside, is to have coffee or tea or mulled wine sitting outdoors. At least here in London, so many places keep their outdoor seating area open and have blankets for you to borrow. And I wonder if this is maybe like a nostalgia thing for me from growing up in Sweden and being outdoors in all weathers, because you can't like wait for a warm day in Sweden if you want to be outside. Like, I remember having all these clothes on and drinking hot cordial straight from a thermos. That's some romantic Gilmore Girls shit right there. And one of the best things with hours and hours of walking and sitting outside in the cold is, of course, getting back inside. If we get really cold, David and I always say, let's take a bath when we get home. And we plan this whole thing of spending hours in scalding hot water, drinking ice cold champagne and just thawing our freezing toes completely. And then when we get home, we never ever do take a bath, not once. We have a perfectly fine bathtub and we've been in this apartment for what, almost 3 years now? And I think we've taken a bath maybe twice in those 3 years. David and I are such showerers. I don't even like the bath, it's too hot, I feel like smothered. But I'm guessing we are the minority here. Let's do a little vote off. If you had to choose, shower or bath? Once we're back home and skip having a bath, it's about cocktail time. Although we don't drink cocktails. You know I'm such a champagne head, so I will almost always go for bubbles, and David will either join me or have a beer. I don't know how this happened, but we always sit on the floor. When we have our brunch, we sit on the floor, and now again, when sitting down for a drink, we go for the floor. Somehow, for some reason, I think there's nothing cozier in the world than hanging out close to the ground. Even when we have guests, we often ask them like, are you okay sitting on the floor? I don't know, is this very rude? Are we the only ones who do this? What do you think? Is it like a cave woman around the fire pit kind of thing? Or is it maybe childhood picnic nostalgia? Anyway, we usually take an hour or two to just chat and flip through interior design magazines and dream up our future dream home. Or if I have written any fiction the past week, we will read whatever short story or something I've written, and David would give me comments, which is usually like, I love it, it's so good, which is sweet and makes me very happy to hear. If you're also dreaming of your gorgeous future home, you should take a look at our new house tour channel. David takes you inside the coziest vacation homes and architectural gems, so go take a look, links in the description. Another weekend habit, David cooking me dinner. We started this during quarantine because we couldn't go on dates and David wanted to make our weekends feel more datey and special, and he has just kept it up ever since. He will plant me on the sofa with a glass of wine and a book, and then he will spend an hour in the kitchen cooking up something tasty. Recently, I've been just devouring Rachel Cusk. I listened to Kudos as an audiobook a couple of years ago, and I think it ruined Rachel Cusk for me. It just wasn't an audiobook type of material. Personally, I think she needs to be read, not listened to. So I'm so happy I'm giving her another go. What a mood she is. Also, if you like Raven Leilani's book Luster and you can't wait for her second novel to come out, I recommend reading her short stories that are just out there completely free if you Google her. Especially Day of Rest is such a beautiful piece of writing. What a word master she is. Okay, food. David asks me what I want him to cook, and almost always it will be white rice with shard broccoli, smoked tofu, and all the condiments like gochujang and sesame oil. Sometimes he will make noodle soup, sometimes he will make a dumpling bonanza, but most often it's white sticky rice with broccoli. Guys, we have a perfectly fine dining table in the other room that David uses as his office, but we almost never ever eat there. On very special occasions we will, but on normal cozy weekends we will again sit on the floor and eat, usually in front of a movie. If you're looking for a cozy atmospheric winter movie to watch this weekend, here are some recommendations. And that's about it. After dinner we have some tea or coffee and fruit and snacks. No matter what chocolate or other yummy thing that David buys, I will most often just take a small bowl, fill it with granola and eat it with a spoon. Granola, nothing can compete. Looking at it like this, it's like a very, very simple routine. Nothing fancy or exotic really, just walking and eating and drinking and talking and talking and talking. But then again, if you think of all the episodes ever of Gilmore Girls, that's more or less what they spend their 7 seasons doing too. And if it's cozy enough for the Gilmore Girls, it's cozy enough for the Mustards, that's for damn sure. What about you? Do you do any of these things on your slowest, laziest winter weekends? I'm sure I'm gonna get a bunch of comments where you're convincing me that a bath is the best, or that your brunch stuff is the tastiest, or that you have the best winter movie or book tip. Bring it on. I want to hear all about your coziest lazy winter habits. If there's something David and I are missing out on, I want to know. Either way, babes, always so nice hanging out with you, even if I'm not currently sitting on the floor. Give me a thumb and subscribe if you like this one. Ooh, I feel so ready for the weekend now. Hope you do too. I mean, if we have to have winter, we might as well make the bloody best of it. Do you want to create a beautiful site? Maybe start your own cozy book tip blog? If so, you should definitely do it with Squarespace. They have great blogging tools to share your stories, photos and videos to make it easy to reach your audience. You can also auto-post your content to Twitter, Facebook or Tumblr. And simply schedule your posts for them to be properly tagged, and the descriptions and titles will show up correctly. You can of course add your social media accounts to your site so that it's easy for your readers to find you everywhere. Squarespace also have great traffic analytics so that you can see how many people are visiting your site, how long they're staying for, where they're coming from and what they're interested in, like cozy winter movies or books, for example. So what are you waiting for? Go get your free trial today at squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/JennyMustard to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. As always, lots of love your way and take care of yourself till next week. Puss puss and hej då!